Okay, cool. Hello and welcome to another episode with Matt and Andy from Affluent Rebel. Today we are talking about how to put on some size, some lean muscle mass in and around the gym. Okay, we spoke about nutrition before, but today it's pretty much all about the training. We might throw some mindset stuff in there because you know I like that side of things.
You love
But
it.
but today we're hopefully going to stay in the gym with the muscles rather than the brain. Okay, so. Andy, start off, mate, with just what you've been up to in the gym very recently. What are you doing at the moment, mate?
Well, I mean, I sort of hit probably a brick wall about 2 months ago, where I'd sort of stuck to similar training regimes, hadn't changed it at all, and just got a bit stuck in a rut. Really, I enjoyed my training, but I just didn't really change anything, and I just got into bad habits of just doing the same exercises, the same amount of reps, and not really improving on my weights, on my lifting. They stayed pretty much the same as it was before, and the results were very minimal. Yeah, I think I see that a lot in the gym. I see a lot of people in a similar situation. You learn some of the basics, and you sort of get an understanding of what exercises to do for each muscle groups. And then one, you sort of get lazy and you stop learning and you stop changing it. And two, you sort of just go in and before you know it, you've done an hour and you've done the same workout as you did last week, and you've pretty much done the same weights as you did last week, and then you're on the way home, and it's like, right, that was my chest day done, and that's pretty much last week's chest day, doing the same weight, same reps, and maybe one exercise different. And I think it just got to a stage where I went, I'm wasting my time. I'm just not. I'm going 5 days a week, but I'm not really getting the best out of it. And I think that's where I sort of took it on myself to go, right, I've got to change it. I've got to change the way I work out. I've got to progress my lifting. I've got to go heavier, and I've got to see the challenges, through, and get myself to those the progress that I wanted, but also not just through my weights, but actually through my composition of my body. My chest has always been a weak point, and the reason it's been a weak point is, one, I haven't got enough exercises for it, and two, I wasn't doing the bloody exercises in the right way. And I think that's so frustrating to think that 4 years ago I could have been doing it correctly then, and I'd be in such a better position. But I think we've all been there, haven't we?
Yes, mate. Yeah, definitely. Even when I first started out before I became a PT, it was just like, yeah, go in the gym, do your Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you do chest and tris Monday, back and bis Wednesday, shoulders and maybe legs if you could be bothered on a Friday.
Yeah.
And you do the same thing over and over again. You might see some gains. That's a buzzword that's going around at the moment.
Yeah.
You might see some gains in the gym. You might see some gains in the mirror as well. But nowhere near as quick. There's always that one guy in the gym. You're just like, oh my god, he like last week he looked like like Mr. Stickman, and now he looks like Arnie. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it's okay, it might not happen in a week as quick as that, but there's always that one guy that's just transforming his body so quick. So yeah, I started to look into it as well as to what you actually had to do, and came across the word periodization, which for the people out there that don't understand what periodization is, I don't want to get too technical with it, but it's where basically you just do a period of training for a certain amount of time, then you change it, then you change it, then you change it. You just periodize your workouts, and there's structure behind it as well. So what I'm doing at the moment is, because I'm trying to put on a little bit of size, is so I'll do 4 weeks where I'll just do hypertrophy training. So I'll work through rep ranges of 8 to 12. I'll start with the compound moves first, and then I'll go down to some isolation. But then what I'll also do after the 4 weeks is I'll either have a deload week where I just drop the weights right down, similar kind of moves, but drop the weights right down and do 4 sets of 25 reps, something like that. And then I'll go into a strength phase. So I'll go 1 to 6 reps, work on really explosive power, and go super, super heavy.
Yeah.
Like 85, 90, 100% of 1 rep max. And just basically shock the system, lift the big weights, create that free flowing testosterone and growth hormone, get that flowing around the body, tell the body that I need to get bigger. And then I'll go back to my hypertrophy training where I've laid the foundations of the strength, and I'll put the size back on. And if I'm honest, actually, we've probably just wrapped up this whole call in about the first 5 minutes. But we'll delve into that a little bit deeper in terms of what exercises to do and when, and how to actually structure your workouts and stuff. So, Andy, you spoke to me then just about your 2 months ago. What happened? So, what are you actually doing now in the gym? Where are you, mate? What about reps and sets and weights and exercises? What's going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing I had to get right, and the first thing that I felt that wasn't good enough for me, was the actual exercises themselves weren't being done, as good as I wanted to do them. I wasn't isolating the actual muscle group well enough, and the reason was I just wasn't concentrating while I was lifting, while I was actually doing that exercise. I had my music on. Mind's thinking of a billion other things. And I think that was the key thing for me, was the mind to muscle sort of connection, of actually thinking about the squeeze of the muscle, thinking about the lengthening and shortening of that muscle during that exercise, and actually then just realizing how that works. When you do an exercise for your back, you've got to think about the lengthening, the shortening of that muscle, what that actually means, what that feels like, and how you actually get that squeeze and tense at the end of that move, and actually feel the muscle working, and actually thinking about it, and looking, in certain exercises, especially things like biceps, you can look at the muscle when it's contracting, and things like back you can't. So you've got to have your mind thinking about it, because you don't actually see the muscle tensing. I think that's something that fascinates me, is you see guys working the back and you can see their muscles working, but from your own point of view, when you're doing that exercise, you can't. You can see someone else doing it, and you can see the back, especially if someone's wearing a vest. You see the bodybuilders, and you think, wow, that's great. You can see the muscle popping out as it goes back and forwards. But when you're doing it yourself on certain exercises, you can't actually see it yourself. And I think that's where, for me, it was trying to sort of feel that, in my mind, and think about that for, what is probably 40 seconds. It's most exercises, it's got to be around 40 seconds under tension to up to a minute, and that's it. So for that 1 minute between each, exercise, between those rest periods, when you're actually doing that exercise, it was, for me, thinking about the actual squeeze of the muscle, the tension. What am I actually trying to do during that exercise? What muscle am I actually trying to work,
Yeah, 100%. And it scared me for a minute then, having to think that I've got to concentrate on something for 40 seconds. But
I think I saw your mind wandered after about 20.
It does, mate. Talking about concentrating when you're lifting, I genuinely saw this in the gym the other day. Guy was doing shoulder press, right? Single arm shoulder press, but he had his phone like this. He was on his phone like that, and he was like that, single arm shoulder press. And I'm just like, dude, what's going on? Who are you, like? Is he Tinder and swiping, or is he? You know what I mean? Is he? What's going on? Like,
that's got to be a Snapchat. That's got to be a Snapchat.
Possibly something like that. But I felt like just going over and like slap. But
I saw a guy doing a squat while taking a phone call, then letting the bar go off his right shoulder while he had his phone in his left hand on his left shoulder, and let the bar fall onto the floor while he was still making the phone call standing up.
No way. The things we see, it's all about those gym epic fails that you see on like YouTube.
Luckily, he was doing such a little weight, he could let it drop. He wasn't even using a Olympic barbell. It was just the ones that are all attached. I just thought to myself, Matt, what are you doing?
You see a lot of things like that are crazy, and people wonder why they don't get results in the gym. Seriously, guys, on a serious note, you have to squeeze, you have to contract, you have to think into the muscles, because if you go into the gym, you're investing time. You don't get it back. Okay, money you can get back. Girlfriend, wife, whatever, you can get them back. Kids, you can get, do you know what I mean? You can get everything in life back apart from time. So when you're in the gym, we're talking, you've got to make the most of that time. Like Andy said, it's 40 seconds to just think into your muscle. When you do your bicep, it's 40 seconds. Just look at your bicep and squeeze like crazy. Because if you're looking around the gym, checking out the hottie in a lycra or whatever it is, or you know what I mean, just looking around, you're wasting your time. Seriously, it's the most important and valuable asset you'll ever have. So make the most of that time. You could probably go in and do 20 minutes of serious concentration work and squeezing and contracting and lengthening versus 2 hours of not really paying attention, and you'll get so much better results with just doing the squeeze, contract, think into the muscles.
And if you ever had that gap in your diary where you've literally got 20 minutes or 25 minutes and you think, right, I've got to be there in 25, I'm in the gym, but I know I've got to get away, and they're some of the best workouts you ever do, because you know you've only got such a short space of time, so you don't pansy around on your phone, you're not texting, you're not Facebooking, you're not just thinking and having a wander around and walk to the water machine and what. It's an intense bang, 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 4 exercises, bang, bang, bang. And sometimes you walk out and think that was a better workout than I've done in my hour workouts.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, when you're up against time and you know you've got to get a certain amount of stuff in and get it done and make it worthwhile, yeah, they're the best workouts. And what I don't want to say upsets me, because nothing really has the power to upset me, but what I don't like seeing in the gym is when guys, they obviously, a lot of them do the like 9 to 5, they come in at like 5:30, all their mates then come in and they're still there at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, is your home life that bad that you want to sit in the gym for 3 hours, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like,
and they've worked out for 25 minutes.
Yeah, if that, you know, if that, like one will do a set and then they'll listen. I'm not here to just put everybody down at all tonight. I don't want to be doing that, but you do see some sites in the gym, and this is why we're doing these hangouts and putting these videos out there and the content over on affluentrebel.com and on our Instagram and Facebook pages, is because we want people to understand that it isn't that hard getting into shape. It really isn't. But it's like anything in life. It's not that hard as long as you know the answer to it. Okay, like building a car from scratch. I couldn't do it now because I don't know the answers on how to do it. But if you show me how to do it, yeah, we could do it. You know. So it's exactly the same as building your body. If you do the right things at the right time with the right intensity, then you're going to get very, very quick results. You're going to stay in the gym longer in terms of over a lifetime rather than in terms of per session, because you'll see the results. You'll get motivated to go again. You'll be starting to get compliments. Hey, there's nothing better. Honestly, there's nothing better for a guy when you're at the bar, you're ordering some drinks, you got not your girlfriend or a girl who's a friend that's by the side of you, you might have not seen her for a while, and she just grabs your arm and squeezes your biceps. Oh, you've been working out. Seriously, there is not much in life for a guy that's better than having a compliment from a female or a male, if that's what floats your boat. You know, there's really, to know that your efforts are being noticed by other people. It's kind of why we do a lot of the training. Obviously, we want to train so we can feel good in ourselves, but obviously we like to know that it's actually working and for other people to compliment us. And they'll never compliment you if you're doing this for 20 minutes, or if you're kind of doing your bicep curls like that and swinging it around, or you spend 4 hours chatting and 10 minutes under the bar and then you go off to the pub later. You're never going to get your compliments. You're not going to get the body that you want. You're not going to continue going to the gym, and then you become average, like most people in the UK or in the Western world. It depends where you're watching it.
And at the end of the day, you know, you will at some point you will give up because you don't see the results for your time, and you think I've done 4 years and I've not seen the results, or I've done 3 months I've not seen the results. But the likely it is you've got in your own way in that time, you know, and you've done those 4 workouts a week, but you probably only done 1 decent workout a week. And no wonder you won't pass. You know, you sort of think of it in a different way. You go and you learn how to drive when you first start to learn how to drive. You know, the instructor, they'll sit you down, you know, and they'll maybe talk to you for 5-10 minutes. But then you're off and away, and you're going and you're learning all the way through to the very end of that lesson. You know, you wouldn't just sit and chat about your day for 30 minutes, and you know you wouldn't get there, because one, the instructor's job is to try and get you to an end result of passing your test, you know. And for us in fitness, there usually is an end result, and of course it's a lifestyle thing, and we'll continue to work out. Majority of us, you know, understand that it's not something where you get to a goal and stop, but we've all probably got a goal of some point and a time frame to achieve that. You know, you want to put on some muscle over the winter, you want to gain those visible abs for the holiday in June or July or whatever it is. You've got a wedding coming up. You've got a family gathering. You've got Christmas coming up. You don't want to look in a bad shape. We've all got some sort of goal and some sort of time frame to work to, and I think that's where people, they need to sort of look at other things in life and relate it to the gym and think, yes, my hour in the gym, I do need to actually get the best out of that hour.
Oh yeah, mate, I completely agree with you, and it's like a very good analogy with the car, with the driving thing. But I always use the analogy of going to work. Like, imagine the people that go to the gym that don't train effectively and efficiently and see results. It's almost like you go to work for a whole month, and then your boss goes, "There's your pay packet," and you go, "Nah, you're okay, you can keep it." That's what it's like when you go. You're pretty much doing all that work for the whole month, and then not getting paid at the end of it if you're not training effectively. And I'm not saying you've got to walk out or crawl out every session, throwing up or passing out. I'm not saying you've got to do that. You've just got to literally, like you said, Andy, is contract the muscles at the right time. You've got to lengthen them at the right time. You've got to periodize your workouts, so you're not doing the same thing over and over again, because at the end of the day, who would want to do the same thing over and over again? It's like food. Imagine just eating a chicken breast every single day for the rest of your life, and that's it, nothing else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You wouldn't do it. So
it reminds me of Carl Pilkington's analogy of, it's great having a piece of cake, but if you had cake every day, it wouldn't become special anymore. And it was some stupid phrase that he had, as he always does, but it's right, isn't it? It's like it's got a nail on the head there, isn't it?
Oh, completely has, mate. I don't want to look into this too much, but there's me saying, if you have a piece of chicken for the rest of the day and then you just chose like the cake thing, I'm not looking into that too much, mate. We'll just leave that there. Maybe have a conversation another day about that. But okay, here's why. It's like doing cardio every day for the rest of your life. Like, no one would do that in their right mind. They really genuinely wouldn't.
But they do.
Yeah, they do, and they're the ones that end up frail and weak and injured and ill. And mate, I've been there. I did the London Marathon. And I've never been so injured and ill and frail and weak in my life. That's why I'm doing muscle building at the moment. I mean, okay, I did strip body fat, but I lost close to 2 stone, and I wasn't like overweight at all. I went from what was I, 13.2 or 3, and I went down to 11.7 when I was doing the training for the marathon. I lost so much muscle, and like, small shirts were hanging off me, and I'm just like, oh my god. I mean, I got a frame like a jockey anyway, but
we don't mind a new wardrobe when we're getting bigger, but we don't quite like it so much when we're shrinking.
Definitely, mate. So yeah, although I'd recommend anybody do a marathon because it was the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, just the experience of it. If you want to build muscle, stay away from doing marathons and cardio and stuff. But anyway, right, let's get into the nitty gritty of this. Let's talk what to actually do in the gym if you want to build some muscle, if you want to start filling out your shirts, if you want to have broader shoulders, a wider back, a thicker and deeper chest, and some really good arms and buys in those shirts. Let's start talking reps and sets. Let's talk about weights. Let's talk about exercises that you can do. Andy, do you want to take? I'll tell you what, let's talk exercises and what you got to do during those exercises. You can grab that one, buddy, and then I might come in on reps and sets if that's all right with you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the one thing I've always stuck to, and I still believe it to this day, when you first go for your workout, when you first come in, make sure you do some sort of stretching and some sort of warm up there. Depending on what exercise you're doing, try and do a warm up set. Probably 40% of your maximum. Just try and get the blood flowing around the body. Just try and get yourself warmed up. Whether that's 1 or 2 warm up sets, I always start there. And also, something I've always stuck to is start with your compound and your heavy lifts. The start of your workout, if you've had a meal, as you should have done an hour before, hour and a half before, you should be feeling at your strongest, at the start of that workout. And I think that's something that I didn't do at the very start when I first started training. I sometimes do some of the resistance machines before I do some of the compound machines. Looking back, you think it's ridiculous. Why the hell would you do that? But of course, everyone starts somewhere, and when you do start, you don't understand and you don't realize why. But when you start your workouts, you've got the strength there, and that's when you really need to go into your heaviest straight off. So if it's a chest day, it's either a flat bench or barbell press, and straight into your heaviest of what you feel comfortable doing. If you've got someone spotting, even better, but I think that's certainly where I will go, and start heavy, and go first two sets, especially try and do the heaviest I can possibly get out. Obviously, there's certain weeks where I'm trying to get more reps out. The last couple of weeks I've been trying to pump the muscle up a bit more and try and go more sort of 14, 15 reps, whereas on a standard week probably only 8 to 10.
Okay, cool. So you start. So if it was a chest workout, you'd start with your bench press. Yeah. So you'd get under the bar. You do maybe a flat bench press, and you go nice and heavy for the first 2 sets.
Yeah.
Okay. Where else would you go from there then?
I tend to then go on to incline.
Yeah.
And then I would then go on to probably flies. I don't see. I see the cable flies is a good exercise, but I'd put it near the end of my workouts when my muscles are probably sort of nearing the end of what I can put it under in terms of stress, in terms of the pressure that I put it under for a workout. I still quite like the resistance chest machine, especially the old-fashioned ones that are plate loaded. I think there's still a lot to be said about that. But the key thing I've noticed in the last few months on my exercises is just actually performing the exercise correctly, making sure I'm actually working the chest and not working other muscles. I don't know if you see it. I see it a lot with the bench press and the back coming off the bench. The bum's on the bench, the top of the shoulders on the bench, and the rest of the back is right off the bench, isn't it? You see that?
Yeah, you do, mate. You see, like I said at the start, you see kind of all sorts. You see people really rounding their shoulders and pushing through like this, or it goes like the other way, or it's all shoulders and tris. There's no chest.
And triceps, and I've done it. You get off the end of a chest session, and your front delts, or your front of your shoulders or your triceps are burning, and you think, hold on, that was a chest session I've just done there. I think that screams to you, but at the time when you first start, you just don't see it. You can't see it.
No, that's it. And no, you can't. Okay, so great information there. So you start off nice and heavy. You start with your compound stuff. So it was a chest day. You'd get under your bench press. I presume if it was a back day, what would you do? Things
rows,
like
barbell rows. I then tend to do barbell. What do you call it? With the where you pull it into yourself with a single barbell with all the weights down one end. I'm terrible.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like a T-bar row almost.
T-bar row, that's it.
Yeah, which is a T, and you're pulling it in. Okay, so you nice big compound, and maybe your lat pull downs and some chins and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I presume then if you were doing legs, it would be, what would it be? What would you start with if you were doing legs?
Squats.
Yeah.
Deadlifts, squats.
Got you.
Yeah, definitely.
And then maybe onto some of the isolation stuff.
Isolation leg machines. I think that there's still you still need to use the isolated machines, especially on legs. I still like it on chest. Back, I still probably use a few of those exercises, but I'd always start with my compound stuff first. Exhaust the muscle, get it really working at my maximum, and then move on to those afterwards. And then you can feed on to some of the lighter weight, some of the more really isolating exercises. I try to work a lot more on my rear delts, and trying to do it on my back days and sometimes on my shoulder days as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
from the age of having a bad posture, from working too much shoulders on my chest days. I've had the rounded shoulders and the pull back. You know, I think a lot for me. I've worked on the rear delts quite a lot, trying to isolate that. You know, doing sort of cable pulls to your face pulls, you know, things like
Yeah.
that. Trying to work your sort of top of your back into your rear delts, and to me, that's an exercise that I've really seen a benefit from my posture as well. And I really love the feel of that. You can really feel your rear delts working, probably because the strength wasn't there against some of the other exercises.
Yeah, that's a really important point, by the way, is to make sure you're doing your front and your back at exactly the same. Because I've been there when I was 16, 17,
Yeah.
it was all about the mirror muscles or the beach muscles, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Chest, biceps, and abs. You do chest, biceps, and abs for long enough, you literally are like a gorilla. You're hunched over, you're really rounded shoulders, you've got really short abs and a really like weak back, and you look like Hunchback of Notre Dame. And it's not a good look. It's really not. So yeah, definitely working the back muscles, get your rows in, done on there. So okay, so if we've got some guys or girls taking some notes now, hopefully you should have down that you start with your compound if you want to build some muscle, then you go off to your isolation stuff afterwards. You go nice and heavy for the first couple of sets, and then a little bit lighter towards the end of your actual workout. So that's the exercises. That's how you'd basically structure your workout. I want to talk about reps and sets now. Okay, we could talk time under tension. I don't think we've got enough time for that. I know you said earlier about 40 seconds per move, but in terms of because there's 4 numbers that you can work with when you're doing the actual lift. There's the lifting, there's the pause at the top, there's the lowering, there's the pause at the bottom. Okay, so some moves or some programs people might have seen, like a 4-1-X1 or a 1-1-1-1. That's basically just the count that you're doing the actual move for. Okay, again, if you're doing your hypertrophy, which is 8 to 12 reps. So that's the first thing. If you just want to literally just build some muscle and not really improve strength too much, you just want to be doing 8 to 12 reps, and you want to be doing maybe a 4-1-X1 on the lift. So let's just say you were doing a bicep curl. You wanted to build your biceps up. Okay, so the 4 would be the lowering phase. You do a count for 4 because you'll always be able to lower more weight than you'll be able to lift it. Okay, because you've got more muscles working. I don't want to go into that too much just yet. So 4 seconds on the way down, then you just pause at the bottom for 1 second. So a count of 1 at the bottom, and then you explode on the way up. So the X is the 0, get the real fast twitch muscle fibers firing, because they're, as you know, they're the ones that grow and actually lift the weight powerfully. And then you have the squeeze and the contraction at the top. There's a video, I posted it on my personal Facebook ages ago, facebook.com/MattSmith2310. There was 2 guys. There was a guy who was shirtless, obviously like a bodybuilder or a fitness model. I don't know if you saw it, Wells, or not, but a guy stood there and he's got like an electrode thing on his bicep.
I've seen it.
And then you've got the scientist guy by the side with like the I can't remember the name of the machine, like the machine by the side. And he said, "Oh, just do your bicep curl, thinking about whatever." And this machine kind of did this. It read it like that on it. He said, "Right, now I want you to look at your bicep and give it a massive squeeze. You curl the weight." And it literally went like this. And it was testing the muscle fibers that were firing during the move when you concentrate on the actual muscle. So it comes back to what you were saying about actually squeezing and contracting. So the 4-1-X1 is 4 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause, explode, and then 1 second big squeeze at the top, and then slowly lower it all the way down. Guys and girls, if you're listening, I'm going to challenge you for the next week of your workouts, if you're doing the hypertrophy phase, is do 4-1-X1 on every single move and just feel the difference. You've got to have that squeeze at the top, you get back down. You've got to have that squeeze at the top. You've got to slowly lower it. You've got to have the pause at the bottom and really explosive on the way up. Do that on, you could probably do that with every move. There's probably some moves that you can't do it with. But like bench press, you can go 4 seconds on the way down, pause, bang, explode, pause at the top, and then slowly all the way down again for 4. It doesn't have to be 4 slow seconds. It's just a rough count of 4 and then pushing it through there. So rep ranges. We'll go 8 to 12 if you just want to build the muscle. If you want to build some strength, then you want to go with 1 to 6 reps. Okay, so really you want to be sticking to your compound moves. You don't want to be doing like 1 rep of a bicep curl at 100% of your 1 rep max. It's not worth doing it. So you want to be doing things like your bench press, things like your deadlift, things like your squats. You could probably get your rows in there as well. Overhead press if you've got good shoulder mobility. I'd never recommend anybody who hasn't got good shoulder mobility to do overhead press, because they end up kind of doing it here
Yeah.
And it's just dangerous for the joint. If you can't get into a good position at the top, you shouldn't be doing your overhead press. There's some posture tests that you can do for that. Again, that's a different video for another day. But if you go into your gym, a good enough trainer will be able to show you some of those posture assessments to let you know if you should be doing overhead press. Anyway, 8 to 12 reps for building the muscle. 1 to 6 for building the strength. Literally stick to your compounds when you're doing 1 to 6. When you're doing your 8 to 12, you can do all your isolation stuff as well. In terms of weight, you probably want to be staying around the 70 to 80% mark when you're doing 8 to 12 reps. And 1 to 6, again, you want to be going 85, 90, 95, 100% in your 1 rep max. But I would always say is whenever you're doing your 8 to 12, don't set 8 or 12 as a limit. Go 8 to 12. If you get to 8 and there's a few more reps in there, squeeze it out. Go slower on the way down. Really get the most out of it. And you want to be fatiguing around 10, 11, 12. If you can do 12 reps, you think, oh, that was fine, I can put it down and get back on Facebook, then that's not heavy enough. You want to go heavier, okay? And I would say you should change your weight when you can do your 3 or 4 sets at 12 reps. Once you can do that, change your weight, go up. And honestly, every week on your compound lifts, you should be increasing by about 5% on your weight. Okay, that's roughly what I'd say. At least 5% every single week. Hey, at the end of the day, in 10 weeks, if you do that, you've increased 50%. That works out about right. So if you're benching 60 kilos, you're up to 90 kilos in 10 weeks. Okay, now think of the frame and the, hey?
Boom. That's what we want.
And that's what we want, mate. Yeah, 60 kilos and then back up to 90. I mean, it wasn't so long ago that I was recovering from a shoulder injury, and just doing a 20-kilo bar was really stressing my shoulder, stressing my chest, and I was fatiguing at 8 to 12 reps when I was doing just a 20-kilo bar. The other day I got up to 110, and that's in around 14 weeks. So I was 110 kilos at the bar. Okay, it was only 1 rep, but it just shows you.
Yeah, and you can really, see that progress over that time. But when you start, I think a lot of the time you don't see it, you can't see it. But if you progress, like exactly as you said, that small amount week on week, 12 weeks, that's 3 months, and you can see a massive change. But when you start, you just sort of, I'll do the same as what I did last week, and before you know it, you're 4 weeks in, and you probably haven't done any change to what you did on week 1. And like you say, just a slight increase over 3 months, you can see a massive improvement on the weight.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm reading a really good book at the moment on that called The Slight Edge. Let me just quickly grab the who wrote The Slight Edge. Hang on, let me just quickly find it. I've got it here. Give me 2 seconds to load up. I'm reading it on my computer at the moment. I'm just going to scroll to the top and find out. Oh mate, I love a book. I try and get through at least one a week if I can. It's not letting me come up to the top of the PDF that I'm reading it on my computer. But The Slight Edge, an amazing book, and it's basically about that. Successful people in any area, their slight edge is they use time for them, where most people think, oh, time's against me. Listen, use time for you. Time's going to pass anyway. So in 12 weeks time, you'll either be lifting the same weight or you'll be lifting 60% more if you increase 5% each week. Yeah. So that's what basically The Slight Edge is all about. It's just that it's called like compound interest. So here's a question for you, Wilson. It's not a trick question. I just want you to go with your gut and answer it. If I gave you £1 million now, or I give you the option of having a penny, but every day for 30 days, the penny would double in value. Okay, so it's worth 2p in 2 days, and then 4p in 3 days, and then 8p, and so on and so forth. Would you take the million now or the penny compounded interest over 30 days? Which one would you go with?
Million now.
Yeah, most people would, right? Because a million, how can I spend that? But a penny compounded interests over 30 days works out at 5 million. If you double it and double it and double it, it's 5 million. So you've just lost yourself 4 million just by being greedy, basically.
You sound like my bank manager.
Oh no, bang, gone. I don't want to do that. But it, honestly,
industry.
Mate, I know. I've got to stop reading these kind of books. But it basically just reiterates that point, is that if you can go in 1 week and lift X amount, next week you're now lifting Y amount, the week after Z amount. You can start the alphabet all over again the week after. Okay, you want to be increasing. You'll only increase your weight if you're really busting a gut when you're actually lifting the weight and concentrating on what you're going on. Okay, tip for doing that: leave this thing in a locker. Get your phone, stick it in a locker. Okay,
you've done that. You've done that with me before.
Yeah,
in a locker.
Mate, definitely. You turn up and you're on this thing. I'm whacking it out your hand and I'm putting it straight in a locker or in my pocket or somewhere where you can't get near it. Okay, it's a pet hate of mine. You see that photo on the internet? Jim in whenever Arnie was training in the 60s,
Yeah.
70s, and then Jim now, and you've literally got like Arnie and Freenio and all his mates like looking huge, and they're literally just under the metal. That's all they're all doing. And then now in the gym, there's a picture of guys just literally just doing this, sat on the bench press pushes like that. And it's a sad thing to see that this thing here is taking over our lives, and people are probably watching this on one of these things right now. You best not be watching this in the gym on one of these. You should be lifting if that's the case. But seriously, it is really that easy. It's doing your 8 to 12 reps. Make sure you feel the weight on 8 to 12 reps. Do 1 to 6. Again, you should be feeling, you should be struggling, you should be needing, is the next thing, the rest. When you're doing 1 to 6, studies show you're allowed up to 5 minutes and you'll still see results. Okay, so if you ever go into a strongman gym or a real weightlifter's gym and they're doing your big heavy deadlifts and you wonder why some 20-stone meatheads walking around having a 5-minute rest, because you'll still get results doing it. Okay, but that doesn't mean if you're doing your sets of 8 to 12 you get 5 minutes rest. Again, the studies are saying it's between 45 and 60 seconds rest. That's it with those. So we've got your exercises. So you stick with compound first, right, when you're trying to lift, and then you go to isolation. We've worked out what to start the workout with. So more of, like you said, the stretching and warm up and stuff. You've got to be doing that. Probably about 8 to 10 minutes of that, I would suggest. And then you got your big compound moves. Then you go to your isolation. You start as heavy as you can. If you're doing 8 to 12 reps, you'll build the muscle. 1 to 6, you'll lay the foundations of strength to build muscle on top of. Take 45 seconds rest if you're doing 8 to 12, and probably 3 minutes if you're doing 1 to 6. Time under tension is probably 4-1-X1 when you're doing 8 to 12, and maybe a 1-1-1-1 or a 1-0-X1 when you're doing your deadlift. So a deadlift at 1-0-X1 would literally be 1 second down to the floor, no rest, boom, X. Straight back up, no rest at the top, straight back down. That would what I would say with your strength. Andrew Wilson, have we left anything out on how to put muscle on in the gym?
I think we've got some great bits there. Honestly, really have.
Yep.
You know, it's. I think you can talk about it all day. We can talk about it all week, and you can read about it. And there's so much, isn't there? There's just so much information. You know, I think, like you say, just said about the phone and the information. It's information overload, isn't it? But I think there's some key fundamentals. And I think I did a blog post on it not long ago. There's some key fundamentals that you need to put in. However, whatever you want to achieve, you know, whether it's putting on muscle or losing fat, there's certain things when you're doing your weight training, certain fundamentals that you need to have in, you know, and when you're building muscle, I think what we've picked up there is some of those key fundamentals that you probably will be doing some of, but probably not be doing all of. And I certainly know I haven't done all of those in the past.
Yeah, and I've been guilty of it too. When you first start training, you read a magazine and you try that, and then you read something else and you try that, and you go on to
the next one.
Websites that are out there I won't name. Yeah, and you're either forever changing or you're never changing. So just one final point on that, I would say stick to something for 4 weeks, change it up. 3 to 4 weeks, then change it up. Okay, make sure you're working every single muscle on your body, forwards, backwards, up and down. And leave this thing at home or in the locker or in somewhere that's not actually in the gym, and keep us updated with how you're going on. You can do that either on our Facebook page, which is that Affluent Rebel, or we got Affluent Rebel Fitness, Wills? Which one is it?
We're on Affluent Rebel.
On Facebook, right?
We are Affluent Rebel Fitness now, actually. I did change it the other week.
Awesome. Okay. In fact, no, tell everybody where they can reach out to us on social media. You're the guy and the brains behind that bit.
I wouldn't go that far. The main page for us is the Facebook, the Affluent Rebel Fitness. We've only just launched that, so obviously, you know, get on there. We're putting daily blog posts on there, you know, videos. Matt's got some great videos on there that we're posting as well as this. Instagram is more a bit of a fun. It's a bit of me putting a bit of quotations on there that Matt doesn't allow me on the Facebook. So I've got somewhere somewhere I've got to put some of those funny quotes, and that's on Instagram. So yeah, you're doing really strong on that. 3,000 followers already, so we're doing
Wow.
great.
What's our Instagram? Is it handle or name? Where can people find us on Instagram? What do they search?
It's just Affluent Rebel. You'll find it Affluent Rebel, and you'll see the logo. It's generic across all of ours, so you'll see that there. We're on Twitter as well. We're tweeting. You know, we're on there as well. And we're all the social channels are there, so there's no excuses. You know, and all of our content will go across the board. You know, so the blog posts, you'll see those. And the key thing for us, and the reason why we came into doing this, me and Matt, was we want to see what struggles people have got and what problems they've got, and we want questions. You know, we want people to ask us what they're struggling with, because everyone struggles with different areas in this. You know, and I think that's something that for us, we're forever wanting to know where we can sort of put a bit of an insight in, aren't we?
Oh yeah, definitely, mate, because we can make videos all day long, but if they're the wrong videos that aren't helping people, then it's a waste of our time, waste of other people's time trying to dig through the information. So yeah, if you've got any questions or comments or feedback or anything at all, please leave us a comment, leave us a message. Wherever you can find us at Affluent Rebel is yeah, just pop your message in there. We'll reply to your message. It might take us a day or two to get back, but we'll reply to it. And if you're lucky enough, we'll actually make a whole one of these shows or videos, yeah, based around your question, and we might even give you a shout out as well. So let us know any questions or queries. But today I want to say thank you very much again for giving me and Andy your time and attention, because again, as you know, that's the most valuable asset. You'll never get it back. So I do genuinely appreciate that. And our next video, let us know what you want it on and we'll get it done.
Brilliant.
Cool. Andy, always a pleasure, mate, and I'll speak to you after I end this call for the viewers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.